Welcome back to Stuck in the 80s. My favorite styles of music come from the 80s. The retro rock, pop, and post-disco sound of it all just makes me want to dance. My favorite artist from this era is none other than the king of pop, Michael Jackson. When good old MJ broke record after record with his earth-shattering album Thriller, the singer was on top of the world. 5 years after the Thriller era, in 1987, Jackson released his new album, Bad. This happens to be my favorite album of his for its slick dance tunes and unique sound to each song. 1 year later, MJ made a feature-length movie, which I see to be a large advertisement for the album. This movie was entitled Moonwalker. Now, some love this movie while others loathe it. It's certainly a mixed bag. The movie is split up into several acts, so to speak, so I'll talk a little about each act. Act 1 is Man in the Mirror, probably one of MJ's biggest hits. This portion of the film shows Jackson performing the song live in a montage of various concerts. This is a great way to start out the movie because I love this song. It's so inspiring and uplifting and never fails to have me singing along. This act is a winner. Act 2 I'll call Flashback because that's what it is. It's a musical montage of clips from all the way back to the Jackson 5 years. It shows clips from music videos, concerts, and award ceremonies all the way up to 1988. So being an MJ fan, this portion of the film is pretty cool too. Act 3 is called Badder, and it is kind of strange. For no apparent reason, a bunch of kids reenact the Bad music video, and when young Michael and his producers leave the studio, they transform into adults. I don't get it. But this leads us right into Act 4, Speed Demon. After Jackson leaves the studio, he is pursued by a vicious gang of claymated autograph hounds. And if that wasn't weird enough, to avoid his pursuers, Jackson puts on a bunny costume and becomes a claymated bunny himself. This leads into the musical chase scene to the song Speed Demon. We get more clever clay visuals like Jackson changing into Sylvester Stallone, Tina Turner, and Pee Wee Herman to avoid the fans, and a dance finale where Jackson dances with the bunny. Well, it may not make a whole lot of sense, but it's pretty enjoyable. Act 5 is the music video for Leave Me Alone, a surreal little film reel with strikes against the media and the tabloids against Jackson. All the while he travels through an elaborately bizarre theme park we can only assume sums up his imagination. Great song and pretty good video. Act 6 is arguably the most famous portion of the film, as now the movie actually has a plot. It turns out Jackson is being pursued by an angry drug lord, played by Joe Pesci. Pesci's plot is to get all the children of the world so high out of their minds. And this doesn't sit well with the peace-loving Jackson, so it's his job to stop Pesci. This portion of the film has upsides and downsides. One downside is that the plot is sloppy. How could Pesci possibly get every child hooked on drugs? Don't some have morals? And then there's a scene where Jackson first encounters Pesci. Jackson apparently knows who he is. How? Why? Or is it just going to be like the finale of You Rock My World, where Jackson apparently knows the gang lord and then just walks away, but, oh, whatever, that's another story. Also, Jackson has supernatural abilities as he can turn into a car and a giant robot of mass destruction. Why not? However, this one major upside that certainly outweighs the disadvantages. The music video for Smooth Criminal. This is one of my favorite MJ tunes, and this video is so perfect I can't even describe it. If you consider yourself an MJ fan and you haven't seen it, shame on you. Also, the finale to the movie offers us MJ's cover version of The Beatles' Come Together. Although I like the original better, Jackson does do the song justice. For some reason, the song wouldn't be released until 1995 on his album History, but whatever, I recommend you give it a listen. Now, normally, this is where the review would end. But for reasons I do not know, Moonwalker was adapted into a video game. Dead serious. Apparently, Jackson had a major love for video games, so he teamed up with Sega, and lo and behold, Moonwalker was released in the arcades, on the Sega Genesis, the Sega Master System, and several home computers in 1990. I'll be discussing the Genesis version. The whole goal of the game is to rescue children and knock out enemies with dance magic, leading up to the final villain, Joe Pesci's character in the movie. The game does get redundant, but it's honestly a lot of fun. The game is a great side-scrolling platformer, and the 16-bit renditions of famous MJ tunes are fun to listen to. Plus, making all the entire enemies dance on screen and morphing into a giant robot, that's just awesome. If you're an MJ fan, I highly recommend you play this game. It's addictive and fun, so if you can play it somewhere, you should. That reminds me, I want to put something to rest about this game. For the graveyard levels, the song Thriller could not be used as it was not written by Michael Jackson. That's why it plays Another Part of Me. But I honestly don't know why some versions play Thriller when you use dance magic and others don't. It doesn't make much sense to me, but anyway, moving on. To conclude, Moonwalker was a mediocre film, and more or less an advertisement for the Bad album. I find it enjoyable because I'm a big MJ fan, but it's not for everyone. The video game Moonwalker is cheesy and redundant, but incredibly addicting. So everyone, that ends my Stuck in the 80s series. It was a lot of fun, but it was semi-hard work. I won't be putting a review up every week from now on, but keep your eyes peeled, because I don't plan on retiring just yet. And I'm still stuck in the 80s. So this is Matt from Flamingo Productions, signing off. Have a happy Halloween.